Hello everyone, my name is Louise Fusari and my company is Inhouse Health. We work with overstretched but very ambitious digital tech leaders using a data-first approach to establish and eliminate the root cause of issues such as work-related stress and employee burnout, and of course the hot topic at the minute, retention rate. So today we're here to talk about how to stay healthy in tech, find a balance and reduce our risk of burnout. But first I wanted to just briefly touch on a bit of my story. So this is me, as you can see, with a different pair of glasses. I'm a nurse by trade, and I'm delighted that this year I am celebrating my 20th year of nursing. Most of my experience was in general practice, so working in GP surgeries, dealing with chronic disease management, running public health promotion programs and public health screening programs. The problem is that I felt like I wasn't making a blind bit of difference to my patients' outcomes. I was seeing people when it was far too late. I was sticking plasters on them and literally asking them to come back when they had fallen off. So I decided to leave, and I had a look at workplace wellbeing. After all, we spend about a third of our working lives in the workplace. However, when I did some research, what I found was that it was exactly the same thing. So most workplace health and wellbeing initiatives are reactive and fluffy, with that same stick and plaster tactic, and that's not preventative. It's not measured as part of a wider strategic approach. And that's why I created Inhouse Health, so that organisations could really improve employee wellbeing through identifying current problems and preventing future risks, whilst maintaining a high performance culture. We know now that the digital tech sector is always on, and people think they're available 24 hours a day, but that shouldn't be the case. So why have I chosen to focus on the digital tech sector? So there's a real dark side to tech. We are in nice environments, even where I am today. It's a lovely environment. It seems very glamorous, but actually it's not as glamorous as it seems. There is a dark side, and this really impacts negatively on employees' health and well-being. There was a tech inclusion and diversity report in 2019 by BIMA, so the British Interactive Media Association, and what that highlighted was that people in tech are 5 times more depressed than the national average, and that statistic really shocked me when I first read about it. 66% of the workforce are stressed by their work, with 13% feeling constantly stressed. And 28% have been formally diagnosed with a mental health condition caused by stress at work. And in the tech sector, there is a high neurodiverse population as well. It's thought to be around 20 to 25%. And of course, I imagine as a nurse and working in workplace wellbeing, that these statistics are actually going to be worse after COVID. Now, looking specifically at women in tech, what that report also highlighted was that 57% of women in tech feel burned out compared to 36% of men. 35% of women feel their gender has negatively affected their career progression. Women are twice as likely to leave tech jobs as a result of stress than their male colleagues. And women are nearly twice as likely to have lost their job or been furloughed during the pandemic. So with this in mind, we all know that healthy lifestyles and habits are the best way to avoid disease, prolong your life and live more healthily and happily. But traditionally, in the chaos of a woman's daily life, healthy living may take a backseat to chores, to busy schedules, childcare, and coupled with building or working in a successful business, our hard work can take a significant toll on our mental health and personal life. So, you know, we talk about burnout all the time, but what actually is burnout? So burnout is technically not classed as a disease or an illness. However, the World Health Organization define it as a syndrome conceptualized as resulting from chronic workplace stress, that has not been successfully managed. And the reason that it isn't classified as a disease or an illness is actually because when you remove a person from that stressful environment, they will get well again. So the issue is the environment, not the person. So there are three dimensions characterized by burnout: feelings of energy depletion or exhaustion, increased mental distance or feelings of negativity related to your job, and reduced professional efficacy. And the World Health Organization, I keep thinking the WHO in my mind, and that's not the band, it's the World Health Organization. And they suggest the best way to address burnout is to focus on fixing the workplace rather than focus on fixing the worker. However, as individuals, I believe we still need to take some responsibility in looking after our own well-being. So we know burnout is a result of chronic workplace stress. So I'd just like to ask you, you can unmute yourself and answer, or you can type in the comments. What symptoms of stress have you experienced that's related to your work? So for me, I know when I'm stressed, I get a migraine normally, sore neck and shoulders, and sometimes I get eye twitching as well if I'm really stressed. So what about you? What have you experienced when it comes to stress?
Insomnia, I think, is one. Yeah, not being able to sleep properly right through the night.
Yeah, that's quite common.
Exhaustion,
yeah. Tired, lethargy,
yeah,
fatigue. Yeah, it's very common. Anything else?
I'll add in kind of feeling like overwhelmed. So sorry that I'm late, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be hearing what you're saying, and I've got some cool questions for you later. But yeah, I guess feeling overwhelmed is one I'd add. Yeah,
but it's not bad that you felt that. Just thanks for sharing.
I think getting your head into a spin, really, where you just get into this negative mindset that you just think you're doing everything wrong, and then you're trying to fix it, and you just get caught up in this vicious circle, really, and it's trying to get out of that. It's just a negative mindset, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. So I've got a list here from my Stress Kills Creativity masterclass. It's not an exhaustive list, but here are many of the symptoms, and for me it's really important that we can identify these early on, because long-term stress can lead to poor immune function and chronic illness. And also, as women, when I look at that list, a lot of these symptoms increase or get worse during perimenopause and postmenopause, which for some women can last a total of 20 years. And we have that to entertain as well as all the other things. So sometimes these things are just can be related to hormonal imbalance as well. So what I'm going to share with you is my top 10 ways that we can reduce the risk of burnout and improve our health and well-being. These are things that I've failed at and learned to overcome myself, and some of them are clinical ways that we can do that. So thanks for sharing. So the first point is understand your triggers. So we are in a society where we are constantly being overloaded with information, advice telling us to do this and do that. However, what's really important to remember is that no one size fits all. So it's important to understand yourself, what makes you tick, and what actually triggers you. And what tends to happen is when we are stressed and we are triggered, is that we develop unhelpful coping strategies, and that can present in throwing yourself into work, so doing even more work, resulting in even more burnout. You might drink more alcohol, you might withdraw, you might develop unhealthy eating behaviours, so either overeating, undereating, and the likes of that, or sleep can go out of the window. So understanding any unhealthy behaviours is the key to preventing what might trigger them in the first place. My second tip is setting healthy boundaries, because actually not setting boundaries is a sure way to increase your risk of burnout. And there are many boundaries that we can put in place, but the three I've developed and practiced the most is learn to say no, especially without guilt. No is seen as a bit of a naughty word, and actually for me, and a negative word. For me, it does have its positives. Align your behaviours or work to your own beliefs and values. There's a lot on social media about authenticity and coming to work as your authentic self, but actually there is truth in that. When we line ourselves to our own values, then we are happier and healthier in the workplace. And I'm sure you've all heard of the saying, you can't pour from an empty cup. So me taking care of yourself and prioritising your well-being should be a non-negotiable. That might be making sure that you get to the gym 3 times a week, and no matter what gets in the way, that you still go. It could be some personal development, listening to podcasts, reading a book, or it might even be making sure that you're there to read the children a bedtime story. All these things are really important, so setting boundaries for me is one of the top tips. And ways to help you do that is by diary blocking. The best way to set and keep healthy boundaries is to diary block everything, and I literally mean everything. So some of the common mistakes I've made are keeping things in my head and not writing them down, and then I wouldn't say I've missed important meetings, but I might have been slightly late, or I might have missed some events just because it's all in my head. And as I get older, my memory's going a little bit. Actually underestimating how long it really takes to do something. So for me, it's really important that you allow yourself a lot of enough time to complete a task or an activity that you've got to do, and that also improves your kind of self-esteem, and actually that you've achieved something, rather than being deflated that you seem to be taking too long. And not scheduling appropriate breaks. I'm sure during the pandemic you went from back-to-back Zoom meetings without any time for a drink, to go to the toilet, to get up and stretch and walk around. So make sure that you are scheduling appropriate breaks, travel time if you are going back to face-to-face meetings. And the benefits of time blocking include improved productivity, reduced overwhelm, and an increased sense of achievement. So as women, I see Matt's joined the call there. So not getting enough quality sleep can impact our mood, our ability to cope with stress, cause weight gain, brain fog, hot flushes, and low immunity. And actually sleep disorders affect 39 to 47% of perimenopausal women and 35 to 60% of postmenopausal women. So getting good quality sleep is actually fundamental for our health and well-being. And there are various myths around sleep, so it's worth taking note of these to avoid making sleep matters worse. So the first question I have for you is, the more sleep you get, the less tired you feel. So do you think that's true or false? You can unmute or you can type in the comments. So Natalie's put false. False. Okay, so you are all right. It is in fact false. So going to bed too early actually reduces our sleep drive, increasing our chances of waking up during the night or feeling very tired the next day. So in order to increase our sleep drive, we need to go to bed only when we're really tired. And the next one is, you should have a daytime nap if you feel tired. Is that true or false? So true, debatable. True if you can. So actually it's false. So napping in the day disrupts our circadian rhythms and reduces the production of melatonin that we need later on in the evening to make us feel sleepy. So if you've been suffering with sleep disruption and you feel like you need to take a nap, then try and force yourself to stay up late and set an alarm to get up early. So perhaps like stay up till midnight, get up at 6 in the morning, and getting into that routine will help improve the quality of your sleep and reduce the need for those daytime naps. And the final question is, you should, oh, I just showed you the answer, hope you didn't see it. You should have a nightcap for a good night's sleep. Is that true or false? False, false. I hope nobody gets it wrong after I showed the answer. Okay, yeah, so that is false as well. So alcohol does have a sedative effect, so it might help us get off to sleep, but it also isn't processed well by the liver the older we get, waking us up for a trip to the toilet. But also alcohol does increase our cortisol levels, so this can interrupt our sleep, making us wake up in the night with palpitations, worries, and that anxious kind of feeling. So when it comes to sleep, make time for rest. Rest is different from sleep. Rest is important because it calms down our nervous system. And if we want our mind to unwind and stay relaxed throughout the night, then we have to allow some time to switch off during the day as well. And get a good sleep routine. So the mind loves habits, and it's associating ourselves with bedtime rituals or behaviours lets us know when it's time for bed. And I think we see this in our toddlers, don't we, or children. So when they're little, you know, it's bath, you know, brush the teeth, and then bedtime story, and they know, the brain knows then it's bedtime. And as adults, we often forget those kinds of strict habits and routines. So make sure you get a good sleep routine in place. So this became quite common during lockdown. I've seen lots of people practicing gratitude and keeping gratitude journals. So here I've got 3 P's for positivity. So start looking out for joy in your life, and positivity will find you. That's how the saying goes. So keeping a gratitude journal can help boost our mood, as it helps us find reasons to be thankful even when times feel difficult. So 3 things that you can write down every night at the end of the day is a person that you're grateful for, a place that you're grateful for, and a possibility that you would like to happen going forward. Now here, top tip number 6 is correct sitting posture. So research has shown that the health risks associated with excessive sitting are just as relevant as the health risks associated with repeated exertion and manual labour. We think, you know, being sat at our desk isn't as bad as being out being a bricklayer or working on the roads, etc. But actually, we can have lots of problems from sitting, especially in tech. So we've got things like tech neck now that come in either. So do you all sit properly when you're at your desk? Do you readjust it? I feel like a fraud today because I'm sat in this room with my laptop on my knee, but I'm not technically doing typing or any work. So yeah, it's just important. For me, the most common neck, shoulder, wrist pain comes from where your hand position is on your desk. So I always just say sit as a T-Rex, so kind of like this, rather than a zombie. So arms in by your side like that picture, rather than stretched out in front of you. Run your own race. This is really important, especially if you're in startup land like myself. So comparison is the thief of joy. So remember, we're all at different stages in our lives and careers, and there's no right or wrong path to follow. So focus on what you're doing and don't compare yourself to others. And develop helpful coping strategies for stress. So earlier we looked at some of the symptoms of stress we might experience. So here is the big long list. So you might be doing some of them. That's great. I've already covered some of them off. So if you can see something on there that you fancy doing, then choose that and practice it. Be kind to yourself, it's really important. When we are more forgiving to ourselves, then difficult emotions have less of an effect on our overall emotional well-being. So be kind to yourself and seek support and help if you need it. And my final tip is power up your digital well-being. So digital well-being is simply the impact that digital technologies have on our health and well-being. As women in tech, looking after our digital well-being is even more so important. So how can we improve our digital well-being? I'm sure you've heard all these before. It's just practicing what we know. So turn off, reduce or customize your notifications. There was a study from the University of California that showed that the average person checks their phone 58 times a day, which I think, well, nobody's doing any work. And the worrying thing from that is it takes 23 minutes and 15 seconds to get back into a deep focus. So actually, how productive are we being if we are checking our phones and notifications all the time? Be purposeful with your tech, so make sure that you are going on to do something specifically rather than getting lost in the land of social media. If you are still working from home or hybridly, I'm not even sure if that's a word, but make sure you have device-free zones in your house so that you have the ability to switch off, wind down and relax. If you're on social media and you're finding that things are negative, then delete those people off your accounts. And it's okay to power off sometimes, so connect with others and get outside in nature. And there was this quote by the writer David Wong, which he said, "New technology is not good or evil in and of itself. It's all about how people choose to use it." So there are lots of tech for good movements out there, which I'm hoping that I'm part of. So make sure you take time to look after your well-being, enjoy the moment with people and your physical surroundings.